Okay, so I know we already discussed when we did our cityscape horizon line and the things that we kind of want to consider. I'm going to try to draw so that you guys can see what I'm doing, but no guarantees. I'm going to do my best so that you can see from a distance what's happening here. So the main thing about landscape is establishing where you're going to set your horizon line. So we've talked about this a lot when it comes to composition. So for example, I want to know if when I'm looking out, do I want to set that line at the distance where I can see, do I want to set it high, do I want to set it low? I know that I want to avoid setting it dead center, right? Because that kind of makes everything a little bit stagnant. I have a barn, some buildings in mind. I kind of want to think about where I'm going to place those. I mean, I'm looking at a huge backdrop. I'm not just looking at a photo, so I sort of have to work out my own composition. One thing I want to avoid, again, is putting the barn dead center, right? I kind of want something that's going to draw the eye. I know the barn is going to be the lightest part, so I need to keep in mind that that's going to be over here. That's kind of where I want to place it because that's what I'm looking at. I'm going to have the fields, I'm going to have the trees that kind of take me up to here, and I'm going to have the sky that comes in. So I kind of want to be careful that I'm going to create a backdrop that draws the eye. So one of the first things I'm going to do is sort of put in my horizon line. So I just want to know where I'm going to start. I'm also going to sort of block in where do I want my barn to be, right? And so this is where our cityscape and our perspective is going to come into play. I am looking sort of at the edge. You know, I've got the flat side here and I can see this side of the barn. So when you're looking at the photo, you'll kind of be able to see how that all goes together to sort of give you that perspective. Sort of a low. So I'm going to start with basic blocks. I'm going to start to build this sort of gradually, keeping perspective in mind. I've got another building in front that kind of overlaps. It's a smaller building. So that's something I have to be careful with because it could get confusing. And I apologize for the traffic behind me. It's kind of a busy road. I hope you guys will be able to hear me okay. Probably should have worn a mic. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to place sort of the elements. Give myself some guidelines here. I'm going to place all the elements that are sort of important. I'm probably going to omit the fence in the very front because it doesn't add a lot of value, in my opinion, to this drawing. So I would start with some of these trees because I have a few trees that come in that are relatively large, and those are going to be kind of significant in the final composition to sort of give me the look that I'm going for. So I gave myself a couple different guidelines. I have kind of where I wanted to start my buildings. I kind of have where the horizon starts to go, or the last spot that I can sort of see the horizon. This backdrop's kind of difficult because it's very tree heavy. So I have a lot of trees to kind of worry about. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the video for a second, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to let those trees become blobs or shapes as they disappear. I want to keep the detail for the few trees that's in the very front. So I'm going to kind of work on this for a second, and then I'll come back in when I talk about adding our lighter values.